Context: Nicki Minaj went online and thanked her fans for some data that came out because the data shows that her Pink Friday 2 tour has been extremely successful. And so Nicki took to the internet to thank her fans.
Yeah.
We're not going to play that audio, but we will read the data here. According to touring data, they posted on Twitter 3 tweets and tagged Nicki Minaj. They read as follows: Nicki Minaj's Pink Friday 2 officially becomes the most successful tour by a female rapper in history, with $34.9 million from 220,000 tickets sold in its first 17 shows. That's one of the tweets. Another tweet says, Nicki Minaj becomes the female rapper with the most concerts earning over 2 million in ticket sales each. 11. Meaning 11 shows. 11
She's gone on 11 tours.
no, meaning 11 different dates.
Oh,
Meaning 11 different shows in one night. I don't mean that she performed 11 times in one night. I mean on 11 separate nights, she did over 2 million in ticket sales
okay.
each of those 11 nights.
Okay.
And then the third one says, Nicki Minaj earns the highest grossing concert by a female rapper in history with $2.858 million
Mm-hmm.
at Madison Square Garden in New York on March 30th, 2024. And so that night, she broke the record for any concert for a woman rapper and did almost 3 million in sales that night.
That's amazing. And that's a flex.
This this is gangster. I'm
I'm
gonna keep
happy
my
for
specs
Nikki.
on because I got more to read, but this is gangster.
I'm happy for Nikki. I'm glad this happened. Um, Especially because I feel like Nikki's been her insecurities have been on full display uh,
Mm,
in the last couple of years. I think that some of this, I think that as an artist, I'm not saying as humans we don't always need to be the ones. People need to do their inner work in order to address their insecurities, all of that jazz. We could have that conversation. However, I do think as an artist, sometimes, and I think Nikki tells us that she needs that validation.
okay,
So I'm glad she's getting it. I feel like Nikki, we've talked about this before. We've talked about the fact that Nikki doesn't always feel respected. Nikki doesn't feel
right,
like she's considered when there's conversations happening about top rappers.
correct.
And I think that she also feels like she's been overshadowed by all of the new talent that has come out in the last several years. I think she does. Whether she, I don't think it manifests itself in, oh, these girls are better than me or you guys care about them more than me. But I think that Nikki does a lot of, hey guys, over here, don't forget about me. I'm the queen. I'm this, I'm that. I think Nikki does that a lot. And I think it's because Nikki is worried that she's being forgotten. And she feels like people don't put respect on her name. And what better way to show people, hey, I am that girl, I am the shit, I do get the job done, than to see stats like this. So I'm excited for her because I feel like again, she's clearly been in a state of feeling like, she's not appreciated or people don't really pay attention to how much she has done. So this is a good way for everybody to see without her having to tell us. This is a good way for everybody to see that Nikki is still a top contender in the game. That's it. I just feel like, good for her. Good for her. I feel like she's been looking for something that she could be like, this is a flex, okay? And yeah.
I'm just trying to see what the sales were on her current album, but I'm not finding the data I really want here. I have a totally different take here. So this is interesting to me. First, I think that, well, I guess I agree with some stuff and disagree with other stuff. I think that when it comes to Nicki has been around so long
Mhm.
that it's easy to say that there's a new queen or that there's a new best woman rapper,
Mhm.
artist. I don't like the term rapper, artist, uh, when there are so many of them coming out, right? And
Yeah.
so everyone who comes out in hip hop, it's a lot about bravado and a lot about showmanship.
Yeah.
We all, not we all, many people are going to come out and say, hey, I'm the best. Hey, ain't nobody fucking with me. Hey, I got the biggest hive. And I think what happens is
Mhm.
Nicki sometimes feels like she has to remind those other ladies
Mhm.
that are saying that actually no, you don't. You don't have the biggest hive. Actually, you're not number one in sales. Actually, you didn't have the best first week sales or whatever the claims are when they come out.
Yeah.
I think that's what she feels in her mind and in her heart. I'm
Yeah.
not saying I agree or disagree. I'm just saying this is what I take on what I've seen Nicki do. Now, I'm not saying Nicki doesn't throw tantrums. She does. I'm not
Oh, and
saying
I
Nicki
didn't
doesn't
say
do.
tantrums at all. I didn't
No, no,
even
no. I know.
use
I'm
that term
speaking. I'm
out.
speaking from my POV though. I'm saying I think yeah, she throws tantrums. She goes on some rants that we don't really need or want. But I think that people often forget that Nicki has been around pretty much 20 years now. I don't know when Nicki first came out on mixtape and stuff, but let's just say that Drake's first album came out in like '06, '07, if I'm correct. And or maybe even 2010. We could find out. But my point is Nicki was already out at that time. I'm
I was,
sorry.
I was saying I don't think it was later than 2009.
I'm gonna check right now.
It might have even been 2009.
Yeah, let's look at Drake's first album and see what year that dropped. I don't know off the top of my head, but we got answers. So Drake's first album came out in 2010. Thank Me Later came out in January 1st, 2010, according to this Spotify chart here. Nicki was already around. So, okay, maybe I'm putting too much on her. Maybe not 20 years, but even 14 years, right? Let's say that she came out in 2010. I know she was around before that. But let's just say for argument's sake 2010 because I don't know exactly when Nicki really was first coming out, right? But even if it was '09, let's just say '09,
Mhm.
yo, it's 2024. Nicki has been doing a phenomenal job as an artist since then. Since then, we saw Nicki shoot to the top. And you could say what you want about her career, but who has really toppled her,
Mhm.
right? And there have been some interesting things that have happened during her career. A lot of people say when Nicki first came out, there was no competition. That even her and Little Kim's back and forth happened when Little Kim was pretty much not putting out music. Cool. But over the years of artists coming in, regardless what artists, I don't want to name other women artists, but regardless what other women artists have come out
Mhm.
and done what people feel is their meteoric rise, Nicki has still stayed relevant. Nicki has still done numbers in record sales, and Nicki has still had a huge impact on the game. Now, there's some asterisks. I'll admit that. There's a
Mhm.
couple of asterisks, like all the pop stuff and the singing, but I don't know if you could use that asterisk against Nicki because a lot of the other women rappers do the same stuff.
Mhm.
Lots of other women rappers who sing and who do pop records. So I don't know if we can hold the same asterisk against her if the field is doing the same things.
Mhm.
And so I think what happens is Nicki hears all of the chatter, all the women coming out and saying, I'm the best, I'm the flyest, nobody can mess with me, I got the best sales. And she says, oh, but y'all don't. And I think y'all need a reminder sometimes. And so where Jay-Z did a terrible sounding hook, a great song with a terrible sounding hook called Reminder, I think Nicki takes to Twitter and Instagram and videos and tweets to say, here's my reminder. I think that's what happens. I think people say, oh, Nicki fell off. Nicki's not the best. Nicki is no longer relevant. And I think very often we see Nicki saying, but check the data, because that's not exactly correct.
Mhm.
Here are my first week sales. Here's what my last album did. Here's what my merch did. Here's what my bundles did. All the different things that she's saying.
Mhm.
And I think that we see that in impact, in record sales, in uh, consistency. I mean, I'm not a huge Nicki fan, but I know Nicki always drops music. I mean, I don't think we never saw, oh, Nicki didn't drop music for 7 years. She's always got stuff coming out. So it's not like she's been inconsistent for the 14 years. She's been putting out music very consistently for the 14 years, and it's done well. It's impacted a lot of other artists. And I understand why she and her fans say that a lot of artists follow her blueprint. Now, whether you think all of that is true or not, total different conversation. I'm just saying that I think this is what happens in Nicki's eyes. I think Nicki sees all of this stuff and says, wait, but why are they saying they're the best? Wait, but why are they saying they have all the record sales? Wait, but why are they saying I fell off? Let me just show them that these things are still true. And now what I like the most is
Mhm.
this current situation. Assuming that this data is true. We only have one source that
Right.
says it. So I don't know if this is true or not. But let's just say it's true. This is what I like. I like that, hey, Nicki don't gotta say shit. The numbers are speaking for themselves. Now, I'm saying that today in 2024 because today that's much of the conversation in the entertainment industry. Who's got the Billboard number ones and who's got the record sales first week? And this is what the industry talk is today. As a fan, that's never been what I go to decide to determine who I think is better or worse or the best or the greatest. I think that those conversations need specific metrics that are decided before the conversation starts, right? So if we're going to say who's the greatest R&B singer of all time, well, then we got to decide what metrics we're using because very often record sales, for example, is not the answer that most of us think. For a long time in rap, the number one guy with record sales was Eminem. There was no competition until very recently when Outkast took that down and they have the number one rap album ever sold in history as far as numbers. But I'm only saying the number stuff because today that's a lot of what is discussed.
You don't think that mattered before? I mean, I've always heard people talk
Um,
about people charting on the Billboard charts. Hasn't that always been a thing? I don't think that's. You think that's
um,
you think that's just a today thing? I think that's always
no, no,
been.
no. I don't think it's just today. I think it's more today. I think today, because the artists, the labels, and the blogs are constantly putting this stuff out, it's something that the casual fan even knows. Like, if you were a huge Jay-Z fan, you would know, oh, this album did 5 million. This album did 2 million. This album only went gold. But the casual fan wouldn't know that. They would just know, oh, yeah, Big Pimpin' was my shit. That came out last summer. Oh, the summer after that, such and such was my song. That was the shit. But they didn't know like if it charted or where it charted. And even like me, who was a big Jay-Z fan as a teenager, I didn't know what his Billboard numbers were. I might know the album sales. Like I might know Volume 2 did 5 million. And that was the mainstream. That was the record that took Jay-Z to mainstream appeal. But I didn't know what it did with Billboard numbers. Like I never was looking for that. And I don't think that information was just a Google search away back then because there was really no internet back then. So I think as social media has grown and fans are able to speak to their the artists they're fans of, and artists are able to speak to their fans, and the blogs and all of these things are kind of more communicative. I think that that has kind of changed the game too, right? Where you could say, "Oh, I don't even know what the name of so and so's last album was, but I see that everyone is tweeting that it's number one on Billboard. I guess I got to go give it a listen now." Because I would never know that. Like, I would never know what Taylor Swift's numbers were. I don't listen to Taylor Swift, but I know that because I see it. It's all over the internet when it happens. So it's, oh, Taylor Swift's movie did blah, blah, blah. Like right now, the last couple of weeks, I'm only using Taylor Swift as an example because I don't follow her and I'm showing this as a supporting argument. I don't follow anything about Taylor Swift. I don't follow her. I don't know her music like that. And that's not a diss. It's just not what I listen to. But I know that she was on the Forbes list for the first time. Why? Because it was all over the internet that Taylor Swift is now a billionaire and she made the Forbes list. So that's everywhere. So how could you not see it, right?
You didn't learn that from Hardly Minding My Business.
I did not. You know what I'm saying? So
I kept
what I'm
my Forbes list very black.
yes, you did, which I appreciate. But point being, I'm not even a Taylor Swift fan, and I know that now. So that's what I'm saying. The casual fan or somebody who was not a quote unquote diehard fan, somebody who's not in the hive or whatever you want to call it, they didn't know that back then. And even the diehard fans, you had to kind of look for some of this information. Today, they tweet it right out. When Meg went, I think it was Hiss that went number one on Billboard. Meg tweeted it. Atlantic Records tweeted it. The
Yeah.
blogs were tweeting it. Everyone wrote articles saying it happened. You don't got to be a Meg fan to know that. So I think today that is more prevalent, more common than
It's more
ever
accessible,
before.
right?
That,
I was gonna say, yeah, it's more accessible. I think before you'd
yeah,
probably have to like pick up a newspaper to find something like that, or a magazine,
right.
um, to
And you
find
might
out
have to find a
that.
specific magazine
Yeah,
because just
it wasn't
picking up
just
the New York Times, you're very likely not going to see blasted across the front cover of the New York Times, uh, Jay-Z Volume 3 goes double platinum.
right.
No,
There
that's
might be a
if that's
section,
in the newspaper, it's way, way in the
in the
back, and the
it's in
article
the
is
music,
like this big.
right?
Yeah,
So
so you might have to go buy like a Rolling Stone or XXL or The Source or a niche specific thing where today you just open up your phone and it's all over.
right,
Back
but
then, it was more of those. It was, I'm sorry, I'll let you go. It was more about the metrics, right? So you would say, like, hey, Jay-Z's the best. Why is he the best? I'm using Jay-Z as an example. I don't think he's the best. But you would say Jay-Z is the best. Okay, Dash, why is Jay-Z the best? Well, he's really lyrical. He's got versatility. He drops every year. You would say these metrics, which would support why you felt he's the best. And then someone would come and say why they thought someone else was the best based on similar or the same metrics.
Mhm.
Record sales was usually, honestly, in like real diehard hip hop fans, before that was like the scapegoat. It was like, all right, that's that's like the last ditch effort. Excuse me, not the scapegoat. It was like the last ditch thing. When it's like clearly the guy I'm saying is better than the guy you're saying is better, then niggas will come and be like, yeah, but he got more record sales though. And everybody be like, nah, get out of here with that record sales shit, man. But today, it's a totally different game.
Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying. Um, I mean, in terms of Nikki, though, I think that I don't know. I guess I just thought a lot about things that we've talked about in the past, where she kind of comes out and goes on these rants about all the things she's done and all the things she's accomplished. And to me, it's very much, uh, you know, like she's, to me, she's shouting something that exists. She's shouting something that we know. I think we've even said here before, like, Nikki, we know that. Like, we're not uh, we weren't questioning whether you were as good as you are, or whether you've made as much money, or had as many awards, or you know what I mean. Like, I don't think that it always feels like when she comes out and makes these lists and things and that she does on her lives and whatever, it feels like she thinks that it's not clear, or it comes off more like this is not really your job to come out and list all the things that you're good at, right? Because the information is out there. You're revered as someone important to hip hop, someone who is important to female rap. So that's what I mean when I say that I feel like, her insecurities come out and need to be validated, because she often comes out and is trying to say, well, I did this and I did this and I did that. And I understand what you're saying about, maybe it's that she's just trying to shut down other artists who are talking about they're the best, or they're this or they're that. But I don't know. Yeah, just
I mean,
trying
I see both sides. I don't disagree with what you're saying. That's why I
to.
said some stuff I agree, some stuff I disagree. Um, I think it's a challenging spot to be in. I think that when people are coming out and saying, if somebody said, "Man, I'm the best boxer in all of the United States,"
Mhm.
and they've been boxing, killing shit for 14 years. Yeah, your record comes out and all these other things, but when five, six other people are saying, "No, I'm the best,"
Mhm.
well, now what? Now we either got to fight each other because it's boxing, so it's fighting, right?
Yeah.
Or we gotta do something to clearly prove that we're better. Maybe fight the tougher fighters, right? Maybe fight the people they avoided, or change weight classes. Like there's boxers who have changed their weight class just to be able to fight tougher fights and more people and win more belts. Point being is they do other shit to prove they're the best.
Yeah.
I think this is the modern day other shit. And I want to say congratulations to Nikki, which we haven't said, because this is all dope stuff. These are great stats. If they are true, again we're assuming they are. Um, and also, I think her fans have shown and prove big time what she's been saying this whole time. Because if that wasn't the case, how would we get these numbers?
Hmm.
It's easy to say maybe she's not easy because it's Madison Square Garden, but it sounds easy to say I sold out in my hometown, but not at 11 different venues. Like that's not easy to do that at 11 different venues or break record sales for 17 shows. You know what I mean? Like I think that this is proving some of the things that she's saying beyond the record sales and the other things. I think that this is showing I do have the big fan base. I'm still I'm still relevant. I'm still able to put out good music because if you look at the run Nicki's been on from right before her project dropped
Hmm.
until now in the tour, and I don't think the tour is over either. But during this time, Nicki's been on fire. I mean, she may not be doing a ton of press and interviews, but we've been seeing, like you said, on TikTok, all the people still doing her shows. We're seeing all these sold out shows. We see her record sales. When she was dropping the single records every couple weeks,
Hmm.
that later became the deluxe. Those things were going crazy on the internet. They were trending topics. And so I think Nikki is showing y'all now without really saying anything.
Hmm.
Yeah, everything I've been saying, here it is. Here's the proof. Here's the pudding, as we used to say.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, congrats to Nikki. Very
Congrats,
happy for her.
Nikki.
Um, Yeah, who knew we were gonna have a debate? I love it.